And what's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another Trackalicious race here. Tonight we are doing the Porsche Cup at Kyalami. This is a double header and is the third race in the Porsche Cup series. And now, just before we get underway in qualifying, I will update you guys on the standings here for this series. Your championship leader here is Josh Willis with 198 points. Following with 157 points is Richie Girolamo in second. There's no third place. That's interesting. Third place is Mike Burkhoff with 137 points. Fourth place is Provolone with 134 points. Fifth place is Matt Morrison with 82 points. Sixth place is Pickerel with 70 points. Seventh place is Chronotis in 70 points. Eighth place is Crow Heavenborn with 52 points. Ninth place is Shirk with 48 points. 10th place is Lindauer with 37 points. 11th place is Orozco with 34 points. 12th place with Eric Bukajian is also 34 points. Ray Frias is your 13th place with 20th points. And then the following drivers have 0 points: Barrera, Rudy Manier, Mo Vassell, Kovac, Eric Miller, Jeremy Engelman, and Alvarez. And with that, we get underway with qualifying here. Currently, no time has been set, but it looks like it is possibly Bravo who is on the fastest lap here so far, as we're following Bravo coming through turn 3, I believe that would be. Now, through the long sweeping right-hand corner of Sunset, now into the hard left-hand corner of Clubhouse Bend. And then now we are coming into the S's here. Now up into the hard left-hand corner of Lee Coop. And now on the run down to Mineshaft, which is actually the straight between Lee Coop and Crocodiles. Now, the Mineshaft includes this curve here, which is unnamed, but now we're heading into Crocodiles. This is going to be a hard right-hand turn. And then through turn 14 here. And then 15 is Cheetah with the right-hand curbing, which you really don't want to ever take, because it will throw you offline. And then into the final corner of Ingwe. And it looks... will we be able to see any times being set? And it looks like Lindauer is your... provisional pole sitter with a 146.440. Crow Heavenborn is your second place in qualifying, whole second behind with a 143.460. Bravo's third place, Wassom's fourth, Ward's fifth, and Orozco. Actually, excuse me, Orozco just puts a... No, excuse me, that is Ward who puts time down. Orozco and Burkhoff has still yet to put a lap down. But Mike Burkhoff has now put it... Oh, wow. Not a tenth, not a hundredth, but 6 thousandths of a second. That is less... Wow, that is... Oh my gosh, that is tighter timings than you see in most drag races. And now, mind you, they have to go around about 16 corners here. Wow, that is extremely close between the top two here tonight, and I hope to see that kind of racing here in the next two races. Now, I did touch earlier that this is a doubleheader. Your first race will be a 15-minute sprint race, and your second race will be a 45-minute quote-unquote endurance race. So, looking forward to how drivers use those two races. And Lindauer pulls that gap from 6 thousandths of a second, 3/10ths of a second. Lindauer now currently holds the fastest lap with a 146.122, but currently Mike Burkhoff is nearly a second and a half up on his personal best. He's on the run down through Mineshaft. Excuse me, Mineshaft is that corner that he's going through now. Mineshaft is not the straight. Hard right-hand turn of Crocodiles now coming up. I predict we might see a couple cars go off here in Cheetah. Cheetah, you can see the yellow hand sus curbing on your left-hand side of the screen there. That is a dangerous curve to touch in any car, so hopefully no one touches that. And what time will Mike Burkhoff set? He does a little bit of wheel spin out of the final corner. How will that affect his lap? And Mike Burkhoff takes provisional pole away from Stefan Lindauer by 1.5 seconds. Mike Burkhoff holds your provisional pole with a 144.7. That is 1.4 seconds off of Stefan Lindauer. That is... wow. Yeah, so we saw from 6 thousandths of a second between these two to now 1.4 seconds in qualifying. Thank you, Haas, for following. And Stefan Lindauer has gone faster with a 145.250. That puts him only 0.5 of a second off, but with Lindauer pulling off to abort his lap and reset back to the pits, I'm curious if he will be able to improve here. Now we follow Chronotis here, again, heading through Mineshaft. They seem to love to pick up drivers through Mineshaft. Chronotis, a little bit up on his time. Where will he place after he's running through the hard right-handed section of Cheetah? There's a lot of Haas's following. Just ignore that. And it looks like Heavenborn has pulled off into the pits, but Chronotis takes third place away from Heavenborn by nearly, well, that is half a second there. That's a large gap between those two. Chronotis still has about a second out to get second place, but with Burkhoff and Lindauer in the pits, your provisional pole sitter currently is Mike Burkhoff, unless Chronotis, Bravo, Wassum, or Roscoe have anything to say about that now. It does look like Bravo's up on his time. I'm not sure how much, though, or if it will be enough to take away a provisional pole from Mike Burkhoff now as he's running down into Mineshaft. Like I say, I love Mineshaft, I guess. Mineshaft is a very hard corner in most cars, and I could imagine how it would be extremely hard in these cars. And then now, turn 14's unnamed, but turn 15 is Cheetah. This is turn 16 now. Where will Bravo come across the line? Will he improve his car out of 6th place? Bravo improves, but not enough to get him out of 6th place. Now, where will Wassum improve himself to? Wassum improves himself to 6th place, to 4th place, knocking Crow Heavenborn from 4th place. Wassum is now nearly 4/10 clear of Crow. Where will Chronotis come down? Will he be able to improve his lap? That is a big no. He will not be able to improve his lap. Chronotis is done. He gets 3rd place. And where will Orozco come? Orozco is up on his lap. He is currently 8th, last but not least in any way. But if he does improve his time, he may be able to get time on Ward here. And will he be able to upset Ward off of 7th place? No, he does not. Orozco takes 8th place. And that has been your qualifying session here. Mike Burkhoff with a 1:44.7 flat, an extremely fast qualifying time here. For a brief second, your top two in qualifying were separated by 0.06 of a second. And we'll see if we can get any good racing out of these those two. I believe we could get some really good paddles between those drivers, as it looks like a couple other drivers have joined the server with Trackalicious Eric and Eric Miller both joining. Looking forward to seeing those on the grid. We've got a grid of 10 here at Kyalami. And now let's do a little bit of a track walk here just to see your starting grid. On pole's position, holding the inside line is Mike Burkhoff. On the outside of Mike Burkhoff is Stefan Lindauer. That concludes your first row. Your second row is made up of Chronotis on the inside and Wassum on the outside. That is your second row. Your third row is Crow Heavenborn and Bravo. That makes your third row. Ward is on the inside with Orozco on his outside. That concludes your fourth row, and your fifth row is kind of staggered as no one's on the inside for some interesting reason, but Eric should be able to take that position on the formation lap. So Eric should be on the inside with Miller being on his outside. That concludes your fifth row there. So let's hope we should get some good driving here out of these drivers. Good battles on track. I have a feeling we will see a lot of action here in the 15-minute race. Did a driver just disconnect? No. Okay. I don't see anyone missing. Everyone looks like it's there. Okay, well. We'll just assume everyone has been in the server and is ready to race here. Not a lot of cars left in the air. I guess drivers ready to go. As you can see, these wheels just slightly wobbling at the front. That's interesting. I'm not sure if these drivers are adding any steering input or if that's just those tires are wanting to bounce. We have 20 seconds before the session starts. A couple drivers dropping their cars. Actually, a lot of drivers dropping their cars, ready to get this race underway here at Kyalami in South Africa. And now, with the drivers starting to pull away here, just based on positions in the standings, Burkhoff should have a better race here than Lindauer, but I do know Lindauer has been putting in some practice, but so has Burkhoff and Crow. So we'll see how Crow makes his way up through the field now. Here we're following the this driver goes way through the start of the race, through the driving grid. And a lot of drivers ghosting in and out of each other, getting their tires, brakes, everything warmed up. Tires and brakes shouldn't be too hard in these Porsche Cups to warm up, I don't believe. They do share a lot of parts with the GT3, so I wouldn't be too worried about brake and tire temperatures. It's less of an issue in the Cups than to the Super Trofeo and the GT4s. The Super Trofeos are really hard to get their tire pressures up, and same thing with the GT4s. The GT4s are, man, tires and brake pressure, tire pressures and brake temps are so key in those GT4s. I would imagine they would be very important in these Porsche Cups, but I don't think they're as important in the GT4, or excuse me, than the GT4. So, yeah, let's see how we get going here at Kyalami. Now, the drivers are starting to go in a 2x2 grid formation. Yes, I guess the drivers have decided this is where they want to start that formation. I would have imagined you would start that a little bit later in the lap. But now I guess this just gives the drivers time to, get used to having another car side by side battling with them. So we've now all entered a single file formation again. I guess we want to be single file now. And now with a 15-minute race up ahead, who will get the jump off of the line? With a rolling start, it is just a reaction time of when can you put that pedal to the metal. No need to upshift your car immediately. And we will, as there's a driver off in the distance into the grass, that's the number 67 of Bravo, but does well to recover. Gets himself back on grid slot. As now we're starting 2x2. Will Lindauer be able to get the jump on Burkhoff? Lindauer would have to do it around the outside into T1 if he cannot get a clear enough start to get clear of Burkhoff's bumper. But here at Kyalami, we're about to go green. Who will get a better start? We'll hop on a helicam to see the stumps starts. Looks like Lindauer is actually slightly ahead of Burkhoff, and we are green in Kyalami. It looks like Lindauer has gotten the better start, but leaves the space for Burkhoff to get to the inside line, as that's Crow making 2 positions up down the inside. Wow, oh, as that's Crow off in the distance. Never mind. He has not made up those 2 positions, unfortunately. That's one of the issues with these Porsche Cups. Everyone backing up. Oh, there's a car off Hardens the wall behind. Is that? That might be Eric. Trackalicious Eric, unfortunately. But now your race leader is Stefan Lindauer after he got a better jump on Mike Burkhoff, your pole sitter here. There we go. But the top 4 are all the top 5 are all still within half a second of each other. Actually, I'll hop up 1 car just to see a glimpse of the battle between Lindauer and Burkhoff, but it looks like Wassa may be under attack here soon from Chronotis, and it looks like that would have been Dave Ward hard off into the wall. That's unfortunate there to see. He might be carrying some heavy front-end damage. But up ahead, Burkhoff has started to close down onto Lindauer. He's closed that gap to about 0.5 of a second. Will he be able to get a better exit out of the final corner? It looks like he has. Now the draft here down this long front stretch will be very important within... I expect the draft to be strong within half a second, and you can be within the draft in a second. Both drivers still staying in line. Burkhoff's looking to stay in the line, get the draft off of Lindauer as long as he can. As you can see, Lindauer sliding it out of that corner. That's unfortunate. He has lost a little bit of time down with that mistake, but as Lindauer goes very wide, rejoins the track, still ahead of Burkhoff, but that will give Burkhoff just more chance to start closing that gap even farther. The gap holds down to 0.5 of a second still, and it looks like, as you can see, actually Lindauer has slightly pulled away. Down in the field, it looks like a Roscoe is making positions up. Or, excuse me, Crow Heavenborn has made up 2 positions. Crow Heavenborn has made his way up through a Roscoe and Ward. Crow Heavenborn up out of lap 1 in last place in 10th. Has made 2 positions up to 8th place. But behind there's a hot battle for 4th place between Bravo, Chronotis, and Eric. I will resume to that lead battle if it heats up, but now here we have a battle for 5th. Bravo looking to attack Chronotis, and Eric is just looking to possibly pick up any scraps of this battle. Eric does know when he needs to attack. As you can see, Eric actually slightly losing it out of the final corner now, but Bravo's in the draft of Chronotis. Will Bravo be able to be close enough to send it down into the inside of turn 1? Does not look like he is. He is actually falling back just a little bit into the braking zone, but regains it all on the exit. All of the yellow curbing here you see is curbing you do not want to touch, but you can pretty much touch all of the red and white. The yellow sausage curbing will upset the car extremely much, but now it looks like Bravo is a 10th off of Chronotis, but falls back through Sunset. This is a really good battle between all of these drivers here. Up ahead, it looks like Wassam is maybe close on Burkhoff. It doesn't look like that gap is closing at all. And in the midfield, Orozco takes position back over Crow Heavenborn. Ooh, Eric's looked to make a move there down into turn 11, but not close enough to do it. Tries to look on the outside, but doesn't get the run. Bravo has fallen off the back of Chronotis quite heavily, but here makes Eric down into Cheetah, not close enough to do so. Chrono runs off, but so does Eric to gain any kind of advantage. As it looks like Bravo might be struggling with some grip here on the exit of the corners. That's Chrono running a little bit wide, slow. Now down the front stretch, everyone gets a pretty strong draft off of each other. Eric having a double draft. Will he be able to make advantage of that down into turn 1? It looks like he's a little bit too far back to make any kind of advantage of that. Bravo's, again, still staying in line, driving the racing line to keep his tires at grip. Looks like Eric's starting to get extremely close on entry, but loses it all on the exit here. But now Miller in the background is looking to attack this grouping here. It looks like behind is actually a slightly better battle than this front of this train here. This train is 4 cars long, starting in 4th place, ending in 7th place with Miller. As you can see, Miller driving off just in the grass a tad bit, doing well to keep this car without traction control on the road. But yeah, a train in the order of Chrono, Bravo, Eric, and Miller. It looks like, is Eric looking to make a move on Bravo on the exit into, getting a better exit into Mineshaft? He's within a 10th of a second. He's going to look to do it into the next hard braking zone here. Will he go in the inside? He's looking. As it looks like Bravo has left the space and he's made the maneuver, but will Bravo be able to fight it back as Miller decides to try and make this thing 3 wide, but backs off wisely. Eric uses a little bit of the curbing through Cheetah, which you're not supposed to do, which backs him off and puts Miller on his bumper. Miller does well too. See Eric, oh, as Eric goes around, that's unfortunate there to see. But here, Miller is actually starting to close onto Bravo after that large mistake there from Eric, which left Eric to rejoin the track in 9th place. Crow Heavenborn has recovered well up into 7th place, making 3 positions up in the first 7 minutes, which is actually the halfway through the race. Miller has now closed the gap to 6/10 of a second on Bravo. When will Miller be able to make this move? I think Miller might be able to make it next lap, probably towards the end of the lap here. Probably about where we saw Eric trying to make the move on Bravo here. Let's actually hop on board with Miller just to see his point of view and see how undulating this track is. Now, the funny thing about this track is it has been a very classic track, but initially compared to the initial layout, we were actually driving this track backwards. And we have added a large chunk of this track. And most vintage tracks actually get cut down, so this is one of the very few tracks in history that's actually been added onto. I know some tracks have added major chicanes, but that's not a major track ascension. This is a major track ascension here, but we see now Miller's closing heavily onto Bravo here, as Bravo uses a lot of that sausage curve through Cheetah. Will Miller be able to do it down into turn 1 here? Oh no, as Miller does well to recover his spin, but that does put him back off of Bravo here. And actually it looks like Crow Heavenborn has just lost positions to Orozco. It's unfortunate there to see Orozco having some front end damage here. But now ahead, Bravo, actually no. Crow Heavenborn still very close to Orozco. Will he be able to make a move down into turn 1? Yes, he lunges hard on the brake. As they go too wide through turn 1. Eric behind looking to pick up any scraps, if there is any. As Crow uses a little bit too much of the inside line, slides it around, but does well to keep it in a straight line. But up ahead, Bravo is looking to close down hard onto Chrono as they're heading through the S's now. As it looks like Ward has entered the pits after he collided heavily with the wall. It looks like his car must be sustaining a little bit too much damage. We'll head back down the battle. And it looks like Bravo... Oh no, Bravo's hard on the walls. Did that collect Crow? Because Crow's hard into the wall. Did those two drivers go off together in any form of related incident? It'll be something to look back at. Bravo off-roading it as they're still driving too wide, like nothing has happened earlier. Oh, that's Bravo off. Excuse me, that's a Roscoe off. Oh, that's some heavy damage on his front. But now up ahead, there's actually a really good battle here between Chrono, Bravo, and Miller. And now everyone's within a 0.5 of a second here. Who will be the one making the move down into turn 1? No one makes a move down into turn 1. Everyone is waiting to pick their time to overtake, but with less than 4 minutes left of this race here, drivers will have to start doing it soon. We'll head up just to watch Bravo here as we see Chrono struggling with grip. Wondering if Chrono has cooked his tires just a little bit too much. Wait, actually. Running through the... yeah, I'm curious on the timing in the standings, why there's no 3rd and 8th place. I'll have to ask someone about that later on. I thought maybe that was Lindauer missing for a brief second, but it's not. Now Bravo heading up the hill, having to worry more about attacking Chrono than defending from Miller right now. But Miller has closed just a little bit. Now through Mineshaft. I've yet to see anyone go too wide through Mineshaft. I'd love to see it happen here tonight, but I just don't think these cars are the cars to do it. As actually that's Miller sending it down into turn 12 and actually makes the move done nice and easy on Bravo. That is Bravo falling down to 6th place with Eric Miller coming up into 5th place. And now we see Bravo, doing well to keep it out of the inside wall. That is a common theme we've seen here tonight, is drivers just getting a little bit too hard down onto the power out of the final corner, trying to get a good run down front stretch. I'm curious how much additional speed the draft here provides down that front stretch in these Porsche Cups. These Porsche Cups don't have a lot of downforce naturally, so I'm curious if they gain that much additional speed. But up ahead, there has been a major change. Wassam has now taken 2nd place away from Mike Burkhoff. Now Mike Burkhoff's car looks free of damage, so I'm wondering if Mike Burkhoff made a mistake exiting somewhere through turn 1. So there's actually yellow flags out on track somewhere. It is not for the battle for 5th place, that is for sure. But now Miller is running wide, as that's not going to help him with his battle on Chrono at all. Miller taking a slightly wide line there just to make sure he doesn't get on the power too early and slide it out. Make that corner as wide as possible.
Alright man, the leader is on the final lap. Give it a final push.
As you hear now, the leader is on the final lap. It looks like 15 minutes of racing here will get you about 9 laps here. Down the front stretch, no one able to make the maneuver. Oh, and that's Chrono off in the distance. That gives Miller the chance to put it too wide through Cawthorn and just a sweep there on the exit of Barbecue. That is 5 turns right in a row. That's a very tight sequence. Are they still going too wide? Yes, they are. They're going too wide down into Sunset. Who will get the advantage out of Sunset into the hard braking zone for Clubhouse? As they try and do a switchback maneuver, Miller defends the inside line from Chrono here. Will Chrono be able to stick it into the S's, though? Does not look like he tries to do it into the S's, but Chrono might be trying to set up Miller for a maneuver down into the Crocodiles. Once you do the maneuver down into the Crocodiles, it's very hard to recover that through Cheetah and Ingwe. And your race leader is about to come across the line to secure his race win here. Lindauer completes this race and is your race winner now. Now back, will Miller be able to be set up for the final corner? Does not look like so. Wassam takes second place here. Oh, that's Chrono off. Oh no. Chrono is now off, has lost another position to Bravo, unfortunately. Wassam has come across the line second. Third place is Mike Burkhoff after losing a position to Wassam on the last couple laps. Eric Miller comes across the line fourth. Bravo comes across the line fifth. Chrono is backwards across the line. Backwards across the line for sixth. And you see here, Eric is coming across the start-finish line now here to secure his 7th place. And then now we're following Crow through... Actually, that would be through turn 11 of Leacoup. Yeah, looks to be about 30 seconds behind the rest of anyone else. And Orozco has just now started his... Actually, excuse me, Orozco has come across the line for 9th. And Ward is still in the pits for 10th place. So your final driver to come across the line is Crow Heavenborn for 8th place. That is Crow's 8th place secured. As long as he gets it across the line here safely. In which he does, of course. That is Crow in 8th place. So now let's see if we can pull in Lindauer. Hopefully we should have a break here. And let's see if Lindauer is up for an interview here. Let's see if if Lindauer's up for an interview here. We're still following Crow as the session's waiting to take over into the next session, which should be... Yes, there will be 10 minutes of interviews, so we will be able to get some drivers interviewed here, and we can possibly, if it's 10 minutes, we can pull in another driver. Let's pull in... And let's pull in Wassam.
Give it all you got.
Nice. And here comes Lindauer. And welcome, Lindauer. You are the race winner here at Kyalami for race 1.
Yeah, thank you.
Now, you had a better start off the line on your opponent, Burkhoff. It looked like you were actually ahead of him starting the race. Was that intentional?
No. I stayed in my box as best as possible. As soon as the box went away and pulled up the little speed limit thing, I went up to the speed limit. I was at like 35 miles an hour and went up to the full 43. And essentially by that point, I was ahead of him. And I didn't know it until the start because I wasn't paying attention. But I stayed where I should have been and the speed I should have been.
Interesting.
It's probably just the game, to be honest.
And yeah, you had some really great pace there. Able to stay ahead of Burkhoff through turn 1 and the subsequent corners. Was it just easy to pull away from them?
I once we started going, I just made sure that I just didn't do any mistakes. I was quite cautious, just making sure I don't spin the rear tires or get too much understeer or go off or anything. Um, I wasn't paying attention too much to people behind me. Every once in a while, I'd look back and just to get a glimpse of where Burkhoff was, but I just tried to keep by myself.
And entering into turn 1, Crow made up a couple places. Were you worried about him like having a brake failure into turn 1 on lap 1?
I didn't even. To be honest, I only saw Burkhoff, so if he were to hit me, it would have been a surprise. I had no clue where he was going to be.
Yeah, it was just a surprising maneuver as we saw it, but it was successfully pulled off. Seemed a little late for me, but obviously I'm not the one driving and I'm not the one making decisions. But yeah, if you could have done anything differently in the race or qualifying, would you have?
Honestly, not really. I think I did pretty well to at least keep it on the front row for qualifying, and then once the race happened, just did my own thing and kept essentially just pulled a gap.
Yeah, and for a brief second, you and Burkhoff were split for 6 thousandths of a second in qualifying until you guys later drifted apart to 5/10 of a second. Were you expecting pace from that from Burkhoff tonight?
Kinda. I know he's always done quite well in these cup cars. I didn't expect myself to exactly be that close. I would have thought I would have been closer to the rest of the group. But other than that, I just as soon as I saw that I was going to stay in second place on the front row, it didn't really matter how fast he went.
Yeah, and with that, if you have nothing else to add, I hope to interview you in the next racing. Good luck.
All right, thank you.
And now let's see if we can pull. Oh, you're free to go. Oh, he's gone. See if we can put in Blossom for the next interview. I'll see if we can pull in Blossom just to kill some time here tonight. We have about 5 minutes left of this practice session here. Looks like no one has set a time. And Wassam is now in here for an interview. Great race there, Wassam. You pulled off second place, qualified third. How did you make the maneuver on Burkhoff? Was it a mistake from Burkhoff, or just a hard overtake that you did on Burkhoff to secure second place?
No, I think he had some issue going into turn 3. I'm not really sure. I was so far back on him and Lindauer that I just saw yellow flags and came around turn 3, and he was making his way back onto the track. So I didn't get a chance to ask him yet what happened, but tricky cars to drive. I think he just spun or went off track at some point. Yeah, just tried to keep it on the track and ended up working out pretty well. Got a P2.
Yeah, and were you expecting anything from this that last race there, or were you just happy with whatever you got?
I think as long as I was able to keep the car on track and keep it pointing in the right direction, I was going to be happy. The mindset I kind of have is just for the 15-minute races is to kind of get a feel for the car. I kind of just use it as a practice session mostly. I don't really focus on results as much, just trying to have a clean race and learn as much as I can. And yeah, we'll see what happens in the 45-minute one. I think we're gonna have to kind of take care of the tires a little bit more. A lot of acceleration zones and fast sweeping turns, so it could be pretty tough on the tires, I think.
Yeah, it can be. And how is it out of these hard braking zones of I'm not exactly sure what corner names they are. Like turn 1, like turn 5, and then like the hairpin of turn 11.
I don't really have so much trouble with acceleration. I know a lot of people kind of scared of the cars because they don't have any traction control, but this particular track, I don't go into first gear at all. I don't really have so much trouble accelerating, but there's this track in particular. A few of the braking zones are a little bit sketchy. Just um, characteristics of the Porsche. It kind of wants to swap ends a lot if you're not braking in a straight line. So that's something that can definitely catch you out, like turn 3 and 4 and 5, for example. I feel like it's very important to brake in a straight line as much as possible, because the car, if you have too sharp of a steering angle and you're laying on the brakes pretty hard, it will swap ends on you. So it's not so much acceleration for me, it's just keeping the car pointing in the right direction when I'm braking.
Yeah, and looking forward to this next 45-minute race here.
Yeah, I think it should be good. Hopefully I'm able to run a little more consistent race pace. The 15-minute one, I kind of had a couple moments where I lost the car a little bit and was just barely able to keep it from spinning, which kind of caused, I had a few bad laps because of that. So if I can run more consistent laps here and kind of hang on to the leaders a little bit, I'll be happy in this 45-minute race.
And yeah, with that, if you have nothing else, you are free to go.
All right, thanks, Trev.
Thanks. And here with a minute left of practice, looks like you have some time set down. It is Lindauer currently with the fastest time in this final practice session with a 145.3, Crow Heavenborn with a 147.6, and Orozco with a 158.2. Yeah, looking forward to this next race here. Yeah, a lot of drivers looking to make up some good positions from the start, but also keep this car on the road. Like Wassam said, it's very hard to do so. Whether you struggle with the underbraking or acceleration, it will pitch you, and it'll either pitch forward and send you around, or under acceleration, it's going to pitch rear and send you around. So that's going to be definitely something drivers need to watch out for the next 45-minute race. With only a couple drivers left on track, we shouldn't have that large of a wait time here until the next session. Still following Eric as he's going through the S's now. There's actually Eric's here in the interview box if he needs to be interviewed during mid-race.
Hey Trev, how is it going?
Good.
Yeah, just thought I'd hop in here. Trying to run some fuel-heavy laps, trying to make sure that my tire pressures are okay. And considering I did not get a single lap of practice before the race, I was trying to get as much as I could as we go into qualifying here.
And now for the race, will there be a mandatory pit?
Yeah, these long races do have a mandatory pit.
And what's usually the tactic for these pits? Do people take fuel only, tires, fuel and tires? What's usually the tactic?
You know, that's an interesting question. You're really asking the wrong person because I don't have much experience in these cars, but I will tell you the thoughts that ran through my head. So we have a 45-minute race. I don't think that's long enough a race to really consider tires, even though not having the TC does burn up the tires a little bit more. My real thought was whether or not to take fuel. So if I run heavier fuel at the start of the race, am I going to burn out my tires more because I have a heavier car? Is it worth the added time of just adding fuel mid-race? Because it's, if I, let's say, take half fuel, it's going to be, what, 10-15 seconds? Could lose a lot of position in such a small field. So I think I'm just going to go full fuel, no tire change, just stop and go. We'll see how that plays out. But if my tires go towards the end, my lack of skill is going to catch up to me really bad. So I'm worried about that for sure.
Yeah, that's definitely some interesting thought process as just a little bit of a background to see how a driver is preparing for this next 45-minute race. But of course, before this next 45-minute race, we have 8 minutes left to qualifying.
Yeah, and actually, maybe you can give me a little bit of info here. Do you know what the temps are out there?
37 track, 28 air. Celsius, that is.
28 air?
28 air, 37 track.
Okay. So pretty warm. So let's see if we can put a good lap down here. Although mine's probably going to be one of the mid to rear end pace cars. I think Burkhoff and Wass and Havenborn are going to be pretty quick. And Lindauer, of course. Not sure if you are on my lap, but if you are, I can talk through it.
And yes, I actually am, and I was going to start talking you through it, but yeah, you can talk us through it.
Right, so important in the first corner, as I've been told by the Kyalami expert Eric Miller, you really want to take the exit of that pretty tight so you get a better run into the second. The sunset scares the living crap out of me, very, very scary, because in the Porsche and the Porsche GT3 car, it's so easy to swap ends on it, so you have to be really careful. A lot of the times, the braking points are, I feel like, into blind apexes, or really late apexes, so it's hard to see, and then we'll go down to third real quick, be patient on the throttle so it can stay tight here and carry the speed all the way through to the hairpin. I missed the shift a little early because my mind's still in GT3. And then coming over the crest here, waiting until the bottom of the board appears. Maybe a little bit late, but not too bad there. Patience on the throttle again as we go in through this combination of left turns. We got to turn in a little bit earlier to make sure we get that apex into mine shaft. That wasn't too bad. I can stay on the throttle, which is my main objective there, to make sure I'm flat out. Late apex here to make sure. Oh, that was not the greatest, but that'll do. And then I believe this is Cheetah, another scary one because the margin of error, it's so small, because if you hit the inside curve it's bad, if you hit the outside it's bad. So let's try this one more time. We invalidated our lap, but luckily our temperatures are looking okay. 27.4 front left, 27.0 front right, 27.3 rear left, 27.3 rear right. So looking pretty good. I might have to up my front right temperature a little bit, or pressure I should say, as we go into the second lap. Again, trying to be patient on throttle, keep it tight on the exit so we get a better run into second, third, and I believe fourth corner. Brake early, not too aggressive into the entrance, otherwise you could go wide. Very gradual on the throttle with these Porsche Cup cars with no traction control or ABS. Ooh, the scary part, try to get close to the apex. You can see I'm dancing with the steering wheel. Patient on the throttle, but I feel like I got that. Oh, a little too late there. Hope I don't invalidate. Make sure I don't go too wide here. But overall, other than that last turn there, not too bad so far. Missed the apex. It's not going to be for me in this session. Oh, try to balance that. Rear end gets a little too excited. Lap invalidated. Think you're better off going and watching someone else do this because I obviously don't know how. I'm
And
really
we'll-
trying to rein every bit of out of this car and not really had the practice to really understand the limits just yet. So that's what my quality practice, as I call it, is for.
And right now, currently, your provisional pole sitter is Stefan Lindauer with a 145.7. Times will start coming down from that. But yeah, looks Stefan Lindauer holds your provisional pole sitter. Crow Heavenborn in second place. Blossom in third place, Bravo in fourth place, and no one else has set a valid lap here.
I'd go on to Burkhoff's lap. He's probably going to set up in 44, so that'd be a good one to watch.
As we're following, it's actually a good suggestion there. As we're following Burkhoff here, come through the S's to see what time he was set. It does not give me a relative to Lindauer yet because he's not set a time. Lindauer's up big on his lap right now. Lindauer will be able to improve his lap before Burkhoff sets another faster lap. Chronota sets a time down for 5th place with a 148.9. As you can see, actually, Lindauer ahead in the picture just for the briefest second. Lindauer's just under a whole second quicker. What time will he be able to set? Actually, Lindauer goes invalid through Cheetah. That's big. What time
Yeah,
does
as I
Burkhoff
said,
set?
the margin of error is so small in that corner because if you go too far right, you're going to hit that massive curbing and it's going to throw you and probably damage the car because you're likely to hit a wall. And if you go too wide, it's an invalid lap. So really difficult corner to execute at such a high speed.
And Burkhoff goes provisional pole with a 145.5, knocking Lindauer out of provisional pole by 0.1 second. That's a tenth of a second there. Lindauer has some time to improve here, but now we'll follow Crow Heavenborn as he comes around the final corner. Crow big up on his current lap. Where will that set him? That won't set him because... Actually, excuse me, that will set him, though. It's a 145.7. And... Oh, again? Yeah, again, Lindauer and Heavenborn are now separated by 0.003 of a second.
That's
That
incredible.
Wow.
Very cool. Even for such a small field to be so competitive, that's really awesome to see. It's going to be a great race.
Yes, it will be. We had a brief moment in qualifying 1 for race 1 where the top two of Burkhoff and Lindauer were separated by 0.006 of a second until Burkhoff improved to 0.005 of a second, clear of Lindauer. But now, Crow Heavenborn is wanting to rejoin that battle of who's closer in qualifying with 0.003 of a second. And for any of you guys that are drag racing fans, most of you know that drag racing is usually made or like lost or won in the hundreds of a second, not thousands of a second. So, and those guys just have to go in a straight line. So if that says anything about how quick these drivers here are tonight and how tightly they are packed, that is... And it does look like Burkhoff goes faster. Burkhoff sets a 144.6, putting him 0.8 of a second clear of Stefan Lindauer. Now we hop on board with Lindauer to see if he has any response to that. And it does look like Lindauer has actually improved while I was talking about the drag racing thing, as Lindauer is now 0.2 clear of Crow. But with Burkhoff, Heavenborn, Bravo, Ward, and Miller all in the pits, they will not be able to set another lap. So right now, Mike Burkhoff is the man to take out of provisional pole. Will Lindauer or Wassam or Chrono or Eric or Orozco be able to take that away from Burkhoff here as now drivers complete their lap. Eric resets back to pits. That is not his chance to knock Burkoff off a provisional pole. Wassam enters the pit. He will not knock provisional pole from Burkoff. Will Lindauer be able to take provisional pole from Mike Burkoff and get his pole position here this race? No. Lindauer does improve to a 145.2, which puts him 0.6 of a second off of Burkoff. Improves by 0.2, but that is not enough to knock off Burkoff from provisional pole. Actually, excuse me, from pole.
Well, Trev, enjoy the stream here. I'm going to hop down to the other channel. Please feel free to pull me up for some of the mid-race battles if you'd like. I'd be happy to step in and have a discussion on what's going on live, see if I have enough brain capacity to both talk and race.
And I will, yeah. So
See you in
yeah,
a bit.
enjoy your race.
Thank you.
And then here now we're starting to get on the grid, and one thing I was just actually looking at briefly when I was trying to pull up a track map for this map, it looks like this is pretty much a completely different circuit than the Grand Prix circuit of 1961. I thought we flipped it somehow, so I thought what was the back straight, like the middle sections was the middle section of both, but we just added in a section in the middle of Sector 3, but we did not. Out of the middle sector is still the original part of the track, but instead of in Sector 3 heading right to a hard right to head down the front stretch, you keep left for a hard hairpin left. And then you rejoin the old part of the section through out of turn 5 of Barbecue. So that's not my knowledge of Kyalami that I thought I had. But there has been a couple different variations of Kyalami, of the GP version of Kyalami. It looks like we've added a little bit of section where we now park our cars and stuff. That's a little interesting there. But now with 1.5 minutes left of pre-race routine before we go out for our warm-up lap. Haven't seen many drivers drop down yet. So drivers still looking to finalize their setup, keep their tires as warm as they can with those tire blankets on. Track temperature has slightly fallen, just down to 35 degrees Celsius, but with it being 4 p.m. and a 45-minute race, we expect track temperatures to fall quite quickly. Your track is optimum, so it is up to grip fully, but with about 12 kilometers of wind, that's going to definitely play in a little bit. Just slightly stronger than what we had in qualifying. But I have found wind doesn't affect the driving style too much of any car in this game. So that's, even though it is something to, know, I'm not sure it's going to play a large factor here tonight. And with that being said, we're about to go green, we're about to start our formation lap for the 45-minute race here at Kyalami. And now, Mike Burkoff defends the inside line into turn 1. Will Lindauer be able to get a jump on Burkoff like he did in the first race? That is only time will tell here. And again, drivers getting their tires up to temperature, even though they have had tire blankets on them while they're setting up. This about 2-minute warm-up lap is definitely going to keep cool them down if they don't do anything to get these tires and brakes up to temperature. But since the brakes have no way of warming up without, braking, Getting these brakes up to temperature might be something these drivers are worried about a little bit more, with Lindauer with having his hazards on for some reason. I'm not exactly sure why that is. Yeah, but the hazards are just the yellow lights. That's really bizarre. Something I haven't seen before. With Lindauer, as you can see, a driver just dip their tires in the grass just a little bit. Maybe that gets them tires warmed up just a tad bit more than I think. I really don't know. Yeah, so we're about to start here at Kyalami here, now heading through the S's. Heading through the hairpin now. Not long before we start the 45-minute sprint, or excuse me, the 45-minute endurance race here tonight. It's quote-unquote endurance, it's not actually. But yeah, with the mandatory pit stop, the surfer's not going to log it here. Bro, are you okay there in the background? But yeah, since the server's not going to log if you require a pit stop, we run on an honor system here for the pit stops on these non-one race nights. Since we have 2 races and we don't require a pit stop for the 15-minute race, there's no way the server can set it up for only the 2nd race, so we just run on an honor race system. If one is found to not take their pit stop, they will be heavily reprimanded and punished for that. But as in the form of a hefty time penalty, which will lose them more time than if you took pit stop. So just an interesting little thing here, and if you're interested in joining us here at Trackalicious, there are links in our accounts. But now we come around the final corner to start this race here at Kyalami. Lindauer actually quite far off of Burkoff. It looks like he's more alongside Crow than alongside Burkoff, as we're now green here at Kyalami for the last time tonight. A 45-minute race here down into turn 1. Lindauer gets a better start. Will Crow be able to get it up into 2nd place? Ooh, as there's 2 drivers going 3 wide in the background. That's actually Eric colliding with Bravo. Crow running wide off in the background, which gives Burkoff the position. But now, I believe Wassam is on the back of Crow. And then Bravo's being challenged for position. There we go, that's Wassam challenging Crow for position, and then in the background that would have been Chronotus challenging Wassam, and the farther in the back you see Miller defending from Bravo, and Bravo defending from Ward. Eric and Orozco were the 2 who collided. Unfortunately, those 2 drivers coming off quite badly from that incident. It's unfortunate there to see. Now we hop on side of trackside cam, and it looks like the battle behind is actually heating up quite heavily as Ward is looking to make a quick maneuver down into mineshaft, but falls off the back quite quickly. We'll head up the field to see the attack Wassam has on Crow. Your first lap has been completed here. Lindauer holds your race lead, Burkoff in 2nd, Heavenborn in 3rd, Wassam in 4th. In the background, they're nearly bumping for position. Miller defending the inside line as Chronotus is going around the outside, the inside, as they do a switchback through turn 2 here. Now into turn 3, through turn 4 of Juxcade sweep, avoiding that sausage curb. that is Miller's position to be had there, but now will Bravo be able to say anything, be close enough? We'll hop on board to see, as the battle ahead is still quite hot between Chronotus and Miller, but both drivers actually having a poor sunset. Bravo closing up quite quickly there. Will Bravo be able to make a move out of the S's? He will need to set up Chronotus. As Chronotus goes wide, he might be able to set that up for the hairpin out of the S's. Gets the power down early. Sweeps out wide using more curbing than his rivals, but will that help him down the front? Oh, that's the driver off up ahead. That is Cody Blossom, who has now lost position to Eric Miller as a driver has followed. Thank you, Haas. Yeah, Eric Miller has now just gotten his way up into 4th place after Cody Blossom has made a hefty mistake. Oh, that's excuse me, that's Crow up ahead. That's Heavenborn off. Oh no, Crow must have some heavy damage after colliding with a wall possibly, which gives Miller 3rd place. Oh, as Wassam nearly gets taken out by Chronotus having a late braking moment. Chronotus is now slipped behind Bravo. And Burkhoff's now looking to challenge Lindauer out of turn 1. Now running out of turn 2 as Crow Heavenborn has rejoined in last place. That's unfortunate to see. But now here is your race lead between Burkhoff and Lindauer. Lindauer having a slight correction error there. So Burkhoff looking to capitalize on his correction. Does not look like Mike is close enough to do it hard under braking on the inside. You do want to try and set Lindauer up here for maybe Crocodiles or Ingwe. You could probably give someone a bad setup into Cheetah and give him the run into Ingwe, but with these two being the race leaders and very well respected drivers here at Tracklicious Sim and having a lot of experience under their belt in these Porsche Cups, I don't expect them to do anything stupid. And they're going to be patient to wait for the maneuver. It's a 45-minute race here. We've already shaped away 5 minutes. But yeah, it's looking to be a good battle for the lead here between these two drivers. In the background now, Eric is now on board for 7th place here. I'm still keeping an eye on the leading battle to make sure no big positions are being gained between those drivers here. Eric falls off the back just slightly of Ward, but now makes it up down this front stretch. Eric's in the draft. As you can see, the drivers up ahead in the distance. Eric's looks but doesn't commit down the inside. But as Ward uses too much of the inside curve and spins it off, that is Eric's position as Ward now falls down to last place. Gives Eric 7th place, Pro Heavenborn 8th place, and Orozco 9th place. But up ahead, we resume the battle for the race lead. Lindauer defending the inside line. Mike Burkhoff looking to switch back maneuver. Gets very close off of Lindauer's bumper now. Let's hop on board Burkhoff to see will he be able to make a hard maneuver into the Crocodiles. It's a very hard corner, but it's very wide on the exit, so it's possible. Defending the line, Lindauer does. Burkhoff not close enough to do anything. Now, will anyone make a heavy mistake into Cheetah? No. Now, will Burkhoff be able to get a good setup out of Ingwe to make some kind of maneuver into turn 1 of Cawthorn? Even though they count the kink that they are about to go through as turn 1, it's not really a turn 1. Turn 2 is technically turn 1 here. Both drivers hard on the brakes. Burkhoff slightly later. Will that be able to set up him into barbecue or through the little chicane here? Looks like Mike is squaring off the line just a little bit too much, which loses him some time out onto this front stretch here. Crow Heavenborn is now up into 7th place. Yeah, that hasn't switched around. Why was it saying Crow was in 9th place then? I'm not fully sure on that one, ladies and gents. If I've made a mistake, please tell me, but I don't think I lost anything. But now here, it looks like everyone's still all square here. 4/10 of a gap between these two drivers. Doesn't allow Burkhoff to get any kind of maneuver here. This is just going to be a waiting game for Burkhoff. Burkhoff's waiting to make, waiting for Lindauer to make a mistake here. Lindauer might have gone slightly wide through Cheetah, which, yes, Burkhoff's now on the bumper, nearly bumper to bumper of Lindauer. Who will take the inside line and defend from each other? Mike's flashing to make the maneuver down into turn 1, but stays in the draft, so does not try and do it hard. Burkhoff opting to delay the position swap. Burkhoff happy in 2nd place here, it looks like. Back down the field, Wassum and Eric Miller are having a bad... Actually, Wassum has made a mistake, which lets Miller through into 3rd place. That gives Wassum 4th place. But now, will Wassum be able to send something out of Clubhouse here? So it looks like he backs off. Miller backs off just slightly there through Sunset. Cody's looking to possibly do a pressure maneuver into the S's, but up ahead. The gap between the leaders have closed, and that is Lindauer off just slightly wide, which gives Mike the chance to go too wide down through the clubhouse. Pulls back into draft. Will he do it hard on the inside? No, he will not. Mike will stay where he is. Now Mike looking to slightly do on the inside out of the exit, but that's not going to help him at all. Lindauer goes off just a little bit again there. That's... I think Mike is starting to sense that this position is going to be his soon, but he's just being patient for the maneuver to be secured. Wants Lindauer to cause the mistake, and Mike not over pushing. But now here, Mike looks down the inside line. Will he brake hard down into turn 2? No. Does not brake hard down into turn 2. Mike Burkhoff being maybe uncharacteristically conservative on this race here. We've spent 10 minutes here in the race. Still 35 minutes left of the race, roughly, for this position to be made. I'm shocked. Yeah, to be honest, I'm a little shocked that Mike has not tried to make this maneuver. He's had many chances to, but I guess Mike would rather let Lindauer make the mistake, as Lindauer's starting to push track limits a little bit too much and lose some time. Now behind, there might be a battle for last place. But if this battle's not going to do anything, and the battle for 10th place is not going to heat up, I'm just going to stay right here where you guys are seeing currently. Now Mike has tried to set up Lindauer into Mineshaft out of Leacoup. Will he be able to do it again? Mike looking, but not close enough to do anything. But now is only a 10th off. Mike will send it down. No, Mike's not going to send it down. I'm really shocked Mike has not tried to make any maneuvers down to the Crocodiles or turn 2 of Cawthorn. Those would be perfect maneuvers to be made, but Burkhoff opting to stay secure and have a stable setup here. That's very... Actually, kind of mind-boggling me. Let's see. To be honest, I thought Burkhoff would be a slightly more aggressive driver. Burkhoff not adding any kind of interview questions for us, unfortunately, but Lindauer has. Lindauer prefers his cars to be very neutral. He doesn't like when cars are intentionally sliding. Well, that's gonna happen in these Porsches, unfortunately, with no traction control. He says his GT3 livery is based off the number 19 Martin Truex NASCAR Camry livery, and his goals for the GT3 is to get the team's championship, and for both Porsche Cup and the GT3 Cup, he wants to get a race win in either one. Entering this fall season, Lindauer has 0 wins, but 3 podiums and 11 top 10s into his name. But now here, Burkhoff does go side by side down the front stretch here. Excuse me, down through mineshaft, but again, backs out. I thought that position was clearly Mike's. Is Mike trying to set him up, or is there just some kind of mind games happening here? I'm not gonna lie, I'm very lost. Lindauer defending very well from, like, just blocking Burkhoff's moves before he can make it, but Burkhoff's not trying to, like, stick it around anywhere. The track temperature has fallen quite heavily, so drivers might be struggling with some traction soon. We've spent 15 minutes already. We have half an hour of this race left to go. There's yellow flags out on track somewhere. It looks like it's possibly Crow or Chronotis. And that's Chronotis taking his required pit stop. I'm curious. Has he hit a wall out of cheetah? No, it does not look like so. But up ahead, Burkhoff and Lindauer are still going at it, and let's just hop on board with Burkhoff to see how these drivers' lines differ. And we'll hop on a slightly more unique camera that not often showed here. We'll hop on board a driver camera to be very close to see what he's seeing. Lindauer runs slightly wider on the exit of Leeuwkoop than Burkhoff, which allows Burkhoff to close quite consistently onto Lindauer, but Lindauer is able to pull it away. Now, Lindauer actually defending that inside line quite hard, doing like a preventative apex block here. But repeatedly here, Lindauer has used a little bit too much of the grass on the exterior, which again has closed Mike onto him. Mike braking slightly, almost in reaction to Lindauer, so I'm curious if Lindauer is doing maybe some slightly early braking to get a better run down the front stretch here. Mike drifts out just a little bit to look, but doesn't drift out far enough to do it into turn 2. Now through the turn 3 and turn 4 here of Just K Sweet. Again, Burkhoff's not looking to make this maneuver anytime quickly. Wassam was within a couple of tenths of Miller, but has now fallen off the back once again. Battle here is not really shaped up to do much, unfortunately. We're about 9 laps, we've already completed 9 laps. I expect about just under 30 laps to be done here in this 45 minutes race tonight. Burkhoff being patient behind Lindauer. That's Lindauer wide, actually. But Burkhoff slides his tires a little bit too heavily out of Leeuwkoop. Burkhoff opting to leave the position where it is. I mean, obviously he struggled to get the power down, and that might have changed things if he was able to get the power down quicker and smoother, but he hasn't been able to now. As we can see here, Lindauer, again, uses a little bit of the grass on the outside. That's probably better than hitting the sausage curb on Cheetah, but it's not gonna gain him any favors here. But now Wassum's looking to possibly attack down onto Miller. Miller in the shell car, and then Wassum in a very stated blue and black car. Now Wassum 8/10 off of Miller. He's gonna be a while till anything happens, unless if Miller makes a large mistake. But up ahead, the battle has resumed between Burkhoff and Lindauer. This gap has closed back down to 0.3 of a second here. Lindauer wondering if he will crack under pressure from Burkhoff being consistently on his rear. Lindauer uses a little bit much of the secondary S curbing, which kind of bounces his car. Burkhoff's not braking any later than he has been. He's just been very consistent on the brakes into the hairpin. We've had yellow flags out on track. A Roscoe now, now Ward takes his required pit stop. With about 25 minutes left in the race here, this is still Lindauer's race to lose to Burkhoff, but Lindauer doing well to keep pressure down, and is maybe wondering if he can, just by doing some hard defending, let Burkhoff crack under his own pressure. That's maybe some mind games these two drivers are playing here. So we now head down the front stretch. Burkhoff's not close enough to make any moves into turn 2 like he has been all night so far. That is the pressure Burkhoff has been putting on Lindauer, and you can see Lindauer has finally made a mistake to give Burkhoff the race lead here. With 25 minutes left of the race, we've spent about 20 minutes here. No other additional drivers have entered the pits, so only Kronotis and Ward have taken their required pit stop here. But that has fallen Lindauer off of Burkhoff just a little bit. Now let's hop back on board that inside cam. The gap is only 0.9 of a second. Lindauer can reasonably close that quite quickly here. If Lindauer secures all of his apexes and does not overspin his rears. But in the background, there's a more interesting battle here starting to play out here again between Cody Wassum and Eric Miller. Now this gap has closed to about 0.5 of a second, as that's Miller off into the grass a little bit. That's going to slow him down into mineshaft. With only 0.5 of a second, Wassum won't be able to try and make any maneuvers. Wassum stated in his interview he's happy just to keep the car pointed in the right direction. And that's his goal for this race, and so far he has been doing that with about 24 minutes left in the race. We're going to be approaching the halfway mark here shortly. And Miller, I don't know if we have any goals for Miller, unfortunately. No, we don't, but does Was have any kind of interview message? No, Was doesn't have any kind of interview message. That's just unfortunate. Oh, actually, Wassum does have some interviews. This is from his GT3 stuff, but he just wants to be consistent, patient, and as fair as possible to Miller, or any of his opponents. He's been racing since GT1, through GT Sport. He's played some iRacing driven project cars too, which I personally started my sim racing career in, quote unquote career. And then the F1 2019 and 2020. Oh, excuse me, the F1 2010 through 2019 games, along with the Assetto Corsa chain. So, Wasson, and a very experienced driver with many different video games, and yeah, unfortunately, not really close enough to do much. But here we have just heard it's halfway through. Look, Miller has invalidated his current lap. Wasson now 5/10 off. As you can see, actually, Wasson loses a lot of that time there as he goes wide through turn 14. That's Miller entering the pits. Miller has decided to undercut Wasson a little bit and hopes that gains Miller some additional time to be clear of Wasson. Now, Lindauer's continually fallen off the back of Burkhoff, but gap is only 1.3. Reasonably, Burkhoff could possibly make a mistake and give Lindauer the position back, or the chance for the position back. But knowing how Lindauer and Burkhoff drive, Lindauer's, I've found, just slightly more prone to make mistakes, but that's not saying Burkhoff is completely immune to him either, as Crow Heavenborn has taken his pit stop. Even though Lindauer is slightly more prone to making mistakes, as you can see, there's a lapped car up ahead. That could be Carnotus up ahead. Actually, he would be a lapped car if he lets these drivers pass. Even though Lindauer is now Lindauer going through, excuse me, Carnotus letting Burkhoff through. Even though Lindauer is slightly more mistake prone, I mean, anything in these cars are a great equilibrium sometimes without having this traction control. If you do a lot of practice, you hopefully will do very well, but if you are one of those drivers who have excellent traction, or excellent acceleration control, and excellent pedal control, and general input control, it can offset the lack of practice you might have and give you a slight advantage if you know the track well and you just have generally good throttle inputs and steering inputs that could offset someone's practice. If you're used to how the Porsche handles, whether it be the GT4 or GT3 Porsche, again, maybe that offsets the practice someone has had from a Bentley. So, even though these cars, we're talking now greater inner class, I think these cars are sometimes still a great equilibrium, but also a great car to learn your throttle control on. Now, personally, I would rather learn my throttle and input control on a Skip Barber. But these cars are still really good to do it on. And they're also really fun to go wheel-to-wheel racing with. You can bump someone lightly on accident, and it's not going to completely unsettle the car. Now, depending on how hard you bump them, it might, but all these drivers here have great control over their cars. But in the end, it might come down to practice, but pit stops are also a factor. So will Lindauer look to possibly undercut Burkhoff and get that 1.8 seconds back into Lindauer's favor? We'll see how that plays up. Now we have 18 minutes left of the race, which means we've spent about 25 minutes of racing here tonight. Now Miller is in 5th place after his pit stop. He's 9 seconds off of Bravo. Now Miller just kind of out on his own around turn 14, turn 15 area. He's 40 seconds off of the leader. So that means as he comes across the start-finish line now, the leader is going to be coming around sunset, roughly. So there's about a good gap there. I did not see the gap to the leader before he entered the pit, so I'm not sure how much time a pit stop costs, but if you assume he was battling Wassum is now 22 seconds off of... Oh, is that the driver off? Is that Ward? Yes, that's Ward. He resets back to pits. He might have collided a wall. But if you assume Wassum has not lost any time to the leading pair, Wassum is 22 seconds off of the leading pair. Miller's 47 seconds off the leading pair. Which means your pit stop time here, if you pull it off correctly, is about 25 seconds with just fuel. I'd assume Miller hasn't taken tires. Tires takes 30 seconds usually, so I'd assume Miller has only taken fuel, and it looks like Ward has removed himself from the race. That will be a do not finish for him. It's unfortunate. We have about 15 minutes left of the race. 30 degrees track temperature, so track temperature has continually fallen here tonight, but not enough where I would consider it a possible issue for tire temps. But now, looks like Lindauer has kept a consistent gap to Mike up ahead. Mike holding about a 1.8 second gap clear of Lindauer. Lindauer, let's actually hop on board Mike, see how he's driving this track, seeing his point of view, see what a clear and open track looks like in his perspective. Actually, in the background, you can see Lindauer has invalidated his current on-track lap, which doesn't really mean too much in a race, but that means he has made a large mistake somewhere on track. He's now fallen 3 seconds off of Mike, and yes, I guess we now know our answer to how Mike is playing this strategy game. He was obviously opting for the long game, letting Lindauer cause his own mistakes, not provoke Lindauer in any form, and that is now Mike Burkhoff entering the pits here. He was 3 seconds. Oh, is that Lindauer doing well to correct the mistake out of the final corner? Now, Burkhoff was 2 seconds ahead of Lindauer entering this pit strategy. But ahead, actually behind, excuse me, is Crow and Orozco battling it out here for position down this main stretch. As Wassum now enters the pits, Wassum looking to undercut Lindauer possibly. Burkhoff looking to undercut Lindauer. Actually, keep the lead over Lindauer by undercutting. Crow's down the inside into Clubhouse on the exit there. Side by side. Orozco using a lot of that grass. Now through the S's. That is Crow's position for 7th place. Now, how much time has the pit stop cost Burkhoff? Burkhoff is 20 seconds off of Lindauer, which means, again, pit stop is about 25 seconds. That was accurate with Miller. Miller is now 20-some seconds off of Burkhoff. But I believe Bravo has still yet to pit. And so has Eric, excuse me, now Eric is in the pits. So Eric is now in the pits, which gives Crow Heavenborn 6th place once he comes around the front stretch. Same thing, and Orozco will gain 7th place. Chronotis being the only driver here tonight being lapped. And with the leaders being quite far off, he's probably not going to be able to unlap himself, but now Stefan Lindauer is in the pits with 15 minutes left to race, and that's actually going to be Chronotis' unlapping right there. can see Eric just has now left the pits. But now, where is Mike Burkhoff? Mike Burkhoff is coming across the start-finish line. This will regain his race lead here, as you can might be able to, as you see Lindauer just for the brief second in the background. Now this is Mike Burkhoff's race to lead. How much time has that cost Lindauer? That has costed Lindauer 5 seconds roughly. Lindauer is now, yeah, so about, if these pit stops are about 25 seconds in length, that was predictable. Yeah, Lindauer obviously starting to fall off of Burkhoff just a little bit, as you can see him struggling with some possibly cold tires. Bravo's now entering his pit stop as Chrono has started to initiate a battle with Eric. Eric Ukasian doing his best on track here, with not having a lot of practice here tonight, but 0.3 of a second is a close battle here, final track position. 0.2 separate these. Will Chrono make a move down into Crocodiles? No, he will not. Oh, as you can see, Eric sliding it around a little bit. Eric does well to recover that. And we have just over 10 minutes left of this race to go. Drivers being extremely cautious through Cheetah. Oddly enough, I find Barber's a very hard car. I think they're pretty easy to go through Cheetah with, but not any of these cars in the subcourse competition. Thank you, Haas, for following. I'm not even sure what number now. But now Chrono's just being patient behind. Chrono's just being patient behind Eric. Eric sliding it a little bit wide there, maybe possibly giving the gap down to Chronotus. And Lindauer has fallen off of the lead by an additional 3 seconds now. That Lindauer is now 8 seconds off of Mike Burkhoff. This is Mike Burkhoff's race to lose with 10 minutes to go. Crow Heavenborn slowly catching Orozco. Blossom slowly catching Miller. Miller is 25 seconds off of Burkhoff, so Miller has not lost any time during his pit stop to Burkhoff. But now here, Chronotus is still behind Eric, now slightly falling off the back, as that's a Roscoe now entering his pits, the mandatory pit. Roscoe will fall down to last place, unfortunately. Which means Crow Heavenborn will get 6th place. Has Bravo done his required pit stop yet? I believe so. As you can see, possibly a Roscoe up in the distance in the pit lane. As you can see, Chrono sliding a little bit wide. Recovers well. Under 9 minutes left to go. We've seen now 20 laps. And if we just break away from this battle for a split... No, we don't. Oh, that's Chronotus around. Oh, that's unfortunate there to see. Did Eric and Chronotus collide? And who was at fault if they did? That is something the post-race stewards will have to figure out. But what I was trying to elaborate to was, you can see Mike Burkhoff now behind. I was about to say Mike Burkhoff's not too far off from lapping both of these drivers. As you can see, Chrono does well to give Mike Burkhoff blue flag conditions. Now 2 drivers have been lapped, Chronotus and Orozco. 8th and 9th place are now left. 7th through 1st are on the lead lap. Now through the out of the Leop Cop hairpin through mineshaft now. Mike still holding a 7.8 second gap over Lindauer. Notice has fallen off of Eric by about 5 seconds, but you can see Eric has actually made a decent mistake up ahead, as that's now Eric there on track. You can see him heading down the front stretch now. And via Mike Burkhoff, we'll see how this battle for 7th place resumes, if it does, in the last 7 minutes. About 5 seconds of a gap is a lot to close with 7 minutes left of the race. My prediction of 30 laps was just slightly over. I'm now predicting about 27. But that's still a good amount of laps here in this Porsche Cup. It means you have to take each of these corners about 27 times correctly without spinning it. And, you know, in over 45 minutes with tires losing grip, your car becoming lighter as you burn off fuel, and pressure from other drivers battling you on track, pressure from yourself to catch up to another driver. As the track temperatures as falling, all of these factors play into how the car grips, and if you can keep this car under control. Now you can see Eric up ahead making possibly another mistake, which Eric should let Burkhoff quite quickly through. Yes, he does, in a position which is going to close quite heavily into Chronotis' favor. That gap has now only closed 3 seconds, but we'll keep following this battle. Here as it's close to develop, without any driver making a very, very large mistake here. Now with just over 5 minutes left to go, Eric slides it out of the final corner, pulls up to the inside line, now comes back across to the start, to the ideal line. Now Chrono is only 2 seconds off of Eric. Lindauer's still 8 seconds behind Burkhoff. Watson's again still 8 seconds behind Miller. This will be the closest battle on track now. And let's hop on board with Chrono. Let's see if we can see this gap at all close. I expect this battle to close just a little bit. I'm not sure by how much. As you can see, Eric trying to slide it around just a little bit. I'm not sure if that's a controlled slide or not. This gap's still holding about 2 seconds with 4 minutes and 40 seconds left of this race. There's about probably 3 minutes left of this race. 3 laps left of this race, I would predict. If we are doing 145s as the race leader up ahead. You can see just off in the distance, that's Mike Burkhoff doing 145s on average, with his personal best being a 144.9 of this session. Burkhoff is holding the fastest lap of the session currently. Your next closest is Lindauer with 145.5. And then from there it will be Eric Miller with 146.0. And then from there the gap gets quite tight. Chrono falling off the back just about. Actually, no, excuse me. Eric closing the gap, just Eric falling off of Chrono just a little bit. 2 seconds of a gap here, still entering the hairpin. As that's Chrono. That's Eric around. As yes, that gives Eric 8th place as he loses 7th place from an unfortunate spin. And now you can actually just see Lindauer making his way through the field now here. Just do. And now, do we have anything on Chronotis? Chronotis we have any background information on him? Yes, we do. Notice says he's finished every possible position at least once. He's done first and third in Brand's GT4, second in Monza GT4 back in Season 1, but he's mostly back in the near the back of the top 10, usually not quick enough for the front group, but champion in the midfield. He thrives off of the mistakes of others, and his personal goal for the GT3 season is top 10. I would imagine that would be the same thing for the Porsche Cup and the GT4s. And then just something to note about Chronotis is he will be always facing the wrong way after the finish line. Now, no one's really gotten anywhere close to each other, unfortunately. Oh, actually, excuse me, Eric is now on the back of Chronotis after Eric has recovered from his mistake quite well. As you can see the sunset just peeking across the distance as we're going through sunset. You can see the elevation change off in the distance if you look very closely. We can see how there's a little dip in the valleys. That's Lindauer off ahead, which might back up Chronotis. It does. Will Eric be able to do it too wide through the S's here as the camera decides to trail behind these two drivers quite far? And Eric is still trailing behind Chronotis. Will Eric be able to try and make a maneuver down hard? He does close a little bit, but takes a very late apex, which falls off the back of Chronotis just a little bit, but that might favor Eric's top line speed down into turn 13. Yeah, that unfortunately does not. But now with 30 seconds left, as Eric slides it out of Crocodiles. And actually, I'm starting to think Crocodiles is a section of turn 13 and 14 as we hear this will be the driver's final lap as they come across the line. The leader is on their final lap. Eric has now fallen off of the back of Chronotis by a second. Let's see if he will be able to recover that on the final lap. Usually a second on the final lap is hard to close and make the maneuver, but in these Porsche Cups anything is possible, and that's two hefty mistakes there from Eric, which will secure his 8th place, and that's going to secure Chrono his 7th place as long as those two drivers do well to come across the line smoothly. And now we see up ahead that's that would be Crow, Heavenborn. Bravo coming across the line now, but I believe he still has to do another lap because yes, Bravo still has to do another lap. As the first one to come across the line will be Mike Burkhoff. Crow does well to get out of the way of Mike Burkhoff, even though Mike Burkhoff's not chasing anyone. Blue flag conditions still apply. Blue flag conditions state, I believe, for this league as if you're not battling and you're in a safe place, please get out of the way. But you're not required to do it. Oh, that's Crow hard onto the wall. Regardless of how the blue flag conditions is, Crow has just smashed the wall quite hard into turn 4, into the final corner. But regardless of that, Mike Burkhoff is your race winner here tonight, with Crow having won coming across the line for 6th. That secures his 6th place. Now, we see Stefan Lindauer coming across the line for 2nd, a nice secured 2nd place after a couple mistakes. Now, 3rd place is not really secured. Miller just has to come across the line, and as that's a Roscoe in the background, so he's not really too worried about losing a position to a Roscoe. Eric and Chrono now come across the line. And that is Eric Miller coming across the line to complete the podium position. Roscoe coming across the line for ninth. Eric doing, oh, that's a big crash behind the line. Miller does well to round out the top podiums. That is Wassum's fourth place. Unfortunately, we will not be getting an interview from him tonight, but it has been a great finish as Carnotus has opted to not do donuts, but to drive backwards on the track. That's a little bit interesting and cause some additional collisions. But Bravo comes across the line for fifth and Haas is doing a bunch of follows. Thank you, Haas. And that is Mike Burkoff's secured race win here. And now let's see if we can pull Burkoff in. Awesome. Famously jokes about his safety. Wassum famously joking about his safety rating, because he is ever so worried about it. And with that, we will be trying to get these drivers into the interview room. But before we do, pull up the highlight reel for this race.
Greetings.
And welcome, Mike. That is your race win here tonight, and that is going to give you some more championship points over your rivals. How did you feel about that race?
Mike Burkoff, he knew he was going to win it right from the beginning. Because Mike Burkoff, he had a tough round the first round because I spun the car a couple of times. Lindauer, he got away from me, and I was trying to catch back up and spun the car and just got frustrated. And then the second race, I was able to pull it out. So Mike Burkoff gets the win.
Yeah, you happy about that?
Yeah, absolutely. The wins come few and far between for me these days, so it's a good time.
Yeah, and you actually did hold both pole positions. Unfortunately, did not secure race one win, getting third place. But yeah, doing well to keep it on track here tonight and secure a race win.
Yeah, thanks. It's
Yep.
I ended up second both races. I don't know what's going on there. I can't figure out the start in this game, but I'll work on it. But yeah, thanks. It's a good race.
Yep. And now we go on to second place position of Lindauer. Lindauer having a great battle with Mike for a majority of the race and then falling off once his pit stop happened. Are you happy with that race?
Yeah. I started falling off well before the pits. But other than that, it was a pretty good race. I did get in my head a little bit more. Started making mistakes while he was still behind me. But just tried to power through it. Tried to keep up with him once he started pulling in really good laps.
And yeah, he has Mike did set some good laps there, and now second place. That's going to help you get some major points here tonight. And are you looking forward to the next race here?
I don't even. What's the next race? Minnesota, I think.
Sounds about right.
Someone else
Let me
chime in?
pull it up. Yeah, yes, it is. It is.
Yeah. It should be fun at Laguna. These cars are they're the Porsche Cup cars. They're a handful to deal with. And the track limits there are extra brutal with the sand. But I think it should be pretty good battles.
And yes, and hopefully it will be. And now we head over to your third place finisher, Eric Miller. Eric Miller doing well too. He had a good start there, I believe, and made some positions up, and yeah, that has given you third place. Are you happy with that?
Yeah, I started from the back in both races and ended fourth and third, so I'm happy with that. Just drove my race and put my head down and didn't end up qualifying just because I was running late and had to eat some food, so I made the best of it.
Yes, you did, and made your way up through the field nice and safely. You had some good battles with Wassam and another, possibly another driver.
It was just mostly Wassam this race, but he had an error and a little issue in the pits, so kind of made the undercut pretty easy.
And yeah, it did. It was now. I should have asked Lindauer this, and Mike. Once, if you're still here, you're free to add this.
Yeah, I'm still here.
What is the strategy for these 45-minute races? Is it fuel? Is it tires? Is it nothing? What is it?
Well, I'd say it's nothing for sure. Even though I know it's definitely true that when you lose the rear end on this car, the tires kind of get pretty messy, but they come back to you like eventually. You just have to take it easy for probably 5 or 10 minutes, but they do come back. So there's never any reason to change tires in a 45-minute race, which, means you don't take fuel. I mean, if you're not taking tires, you're not taking fuel. So that's the strategy.
And is that Miller? Is that how you run?
Yeah, it's pretty much drive conservatively, and for me, because if you overdrive the cars, you start losing it really easily. So just try to drive it like 9/10 for the most part, and just keep the tires under control.
Yeah, and you've heard about how Lindauer feels of Laguna Seca. How do you guys feel?
Looking forward to it. It's one of my favorite tracks, personally.
Yeah, I enjoy that track too. That's gonna be fun. It's just you stay away from the sand, right?
We'll have Josh and Richie and Provolone probably back next week, so it should be a little more challenging to get a top 3. But it was a fun race.
But yeah, if you guys have nothing else to add, you're definitely free to go, and looking forward to see you guys at Laguna Seca and see how you do.
Yep, thanks.
Yep, thanks, Trev. See ya.
Yep. And with that being said, we are done here tonight. Thank you guys so much here. And I will try and find someone to raid here. I don't know, let's do we do the full SRO, guys? I could do SRO, I could do a driver in SRO. Ooh, someone doing an endurance race? Let's raid the driver of the endurance race. CABBZI. Now let me get the raid all set up here. So you're just seeing some highlights here now. Now raid channel VABB ZZ. And let's start the raid. Now, thank you guys so much for following, and if you're interested in joining us, there are links below, and besides that, we'll see you guys tomorrow at the same time for the GP3 race. I'll see you guys then. Have a good one. Bye-bye.